שאמות משהו ממני, משהו ממני ימות בך, ימות בך. כשתמות משהו ממך בי, משהו ממך בי ימות איתך, ימות איתך. כי כולנו, כן כולנו, כולנו רקמה אנושית אחת חיה, ואם אחד מאיתנו הולך מעמנו, משהו מת בנו, משהו נשאר איתו. אם נדע איך להרגיע, איך להרגיע את האיבה, אם רק נדע, אם נדע להשקיט את זמנו על חרבוננו, לומר סליחה, אם נדע להתחיל מההתחלה. כי כולנו, כן כולנו, כולנו רקמה אנושית אחת חיה, ואם אחד מאיתנו הולך מעמנו, משהו מת בנו, משהו נשאר איתו. נשאר איתו. תחת השמיים, לכל
a time for death, a time to plant and a time to uproot the planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to tear and a time to build. La kol zman veit lechol chayfetz.
יפרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו ביצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו למען שמך והגין בעדינו והסר מעלינו אויב דבר וחרב ורב ויגון והסר שטן מלפנינו ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה ושבור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ועד עולם.
When I wake up in America, I see my neighbors there with every kind of clothes and shoes, hats and skin and hair, every fine belief and custom, scores of songs from who knows where. When I wake up in America, our stories fill the air. Wake up, wake up, wake up in America. The light in the harbor, it shines for us all. When I wake up in America, when I wake up in America, I hold my head up high and I find my way as others do beneath the same big sky. I recite the Pledge of Allegiance in a voice both clear and strong. When I wake up in America, I'm right where I belong. Wake up, wake up, wake up in America. the harbor, it shines for us all when I wake up in America. See the kids playing, happily swaying. Good to be staying in this sacred place with every faith and race. When I wake up in America, I put away my fear, and I love my neighbor as myself, and I say, I'm glad you're here. We have found ourselves together in this land we dreamed could be. If we wake up, America, everybody still can be free. Oh, wake up, wake up, wake up in America. The light in the harbor, it shines for us all. When I wake up, when you wake up, if we wake up, please wake up, America.
Hello, neshama, neshama, shenatata bi, neshama, neshama, shenatata bi, Tehorahi. Neshama, 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 neshama. Ata verata, ata yetzarata. Ata verata, ata yetzarata, ve'ata nefachta bi. Ve'ata, 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 ve'ata nefachta bi, ve'ata, Neshama, 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 ve'ata, ve'ata watili. Neshama, neshama, neshama. neshama, neshama. Kol zaman, shia neshama b'kilbi. Kol zaman, shia neshama b'kilbi. Modani, modani, modani lefanecha. Adonai Elohai, Elohai Avotai, Ribon kol hamasim, Adon kol haneshamot. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamachazir, Neshamot, Neshamot, Livegarim, Naiti.
When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops stumble all around, heaven open a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby.
Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me,
Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me.
somewhere over the rainbow.
Bluebirds fly,
Birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then oh why can't I?
Rabbi James. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat HaMalkah, page 31. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's so good to see those of you who are here in the sanctuary with us tonight. So wonderful to welcome everybody who's on live stream. Hello, and thank you, Sharon Golub, for saying hello to everybody on live stream. And hello to Sharon Golub, who's here tonight, saying hello to everybody on live stream. How postmodern is that? Or something, right? So you'll notice in our sanctuary tonight, we have the rainbow flags up around the sanctuary. And for those who don't remember or don't know the story, briefly, the morning that the Pulse massacre took place in the Pulse nightclub in Florida, it was Shavuot morning. And I called Joyce immediately and said, we need to do something. It happened overnight. So we gathered on the steps of Judson Memorial Church with others in the clergy network here in New York City, and with the CBST chorus that Joyce could pull together at the last minute. We recited Psalms, and we stood on the church steps with Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Jewish prayers and crying and responding to that moment. And I called up Gilbert Baker, who was by that time very much a part of CBST, because in 2011, Gilbert was very ill, and a friend of his had contacted me to see if I would meet with Gilbert, who he thought at the time was dying. And I went to meet with Gilbert in his apartment in Harlem, and he was impoverished, and he had had a terrible stroke, and he was very, very, very ill. And he and I became very close. He survived that health scare. But I discovered at that time when I met Gilbert Baker that although he was the one who had come up with the very idea itself of the rainbow flag in 1978, when Harvey Milk asked him to come up with a symbol for the gay liberation movement that would not be the pink triangle, which was the symbol up until that moment, but the pink triangle was a Nazi symbol, of course, and we were trying to reclaim it. But Harvey Milk said to Gilbert Baker, let's have a life-affirming image that celebrates our life-affirmingness, not just that we're hated and killed in the world. And so Gilbert Baker, who was a vexillographer, which I learned the word from Gilbert Baker, is a flag maker. And Gilbert Baker came up with the idea of a rainbow flag. Each color stands for a different value. One is sexuality, another is nature, another is healing, another is magic, another is harmony. Each color, and there were 8 colors in the original rainbow flag. And I found out when I was with him that morning that he was completely impoverished. He didn't make a single penny from coming up with the idea of the rainbow flag. Every time you see a rainbow flag this Pride, think of that. There was a human being who came up with the idea to make the rainbow flag the symbol for this movement of liberation and of transformation. And so I commissioned him, with a lot of money I commissioned him to make 4 rainbow flags for CBST. And he said to me, I will make them the exact same way I made the 1978 flags. I'll buy the same inexpensive cotton. I will make the dye myself, and I will sew those pieces together. And he made those 4 flags, and he signed each one of them. And we had 2 in Chelsea for several years, and then 2 in Bethune Street. And when we moved here, I saw they were starting to get a little ratty. And I had just been to MoMA, where I realized MoMA has a Gilbert Baker rainbow flag. And I thought, wow, if MoMA has a Gilbert Baker rainbow flag, maybe we should be taking care of our Gilbert Baker rainbow flags. And we found, with the help of some CBST members, a what do you call it? A fabric conservator. Is that the right word? Something like that. Of course, there are many here in New York City, and came and treated the flags and in a certain way so that the dye won't drip down from them. And they are now outside in our lobby with special cases so that the sun won't hurt them, and they will last for a long time. By the way, we're still raising money for that effort. It was very expensive. So if you want to sponsor a flag, let me know. Anyway, so the morning of Shavuot, the morning of Pulse, I called up Gilbert Baker and I said, Gilbert, what about if we made enough rainbow flags to wrap the NRA building in? A la Cristo, kind of do a rainbow. Gilbert loved the idea. So we set up sewing machines out here in the lobby. Then we discovered that the NRA headquarters is heavily, how shall we say, secured. And you cannot get anywhere near the NRA headquarters. Okay, we hadn't quite thought of that particular detail. But Gilbert made and sewed together 49 flags, each with the name of one person who was murdered that night in the Pulse nightclub in Florida. And so we hang in our sanctuary. They were put into 7 different sections. So you'll see on each of these flags, there's one name for somebody who was murdered that night, so that we shouldn't forget them as we fight the ongoing plague of gun violence in this country, the ongoing plague of hatred of LGBT people. We don't forget that night and those who were lost in that terrible, terrible massacre. But we continue to embrace them and the rainbow flag with the love that Gilbert embodied. He was here at our dedication for CBST. We have wonderful pictures of Gilbert outside at our dedication, and he died way, way, way too young in 2017. So when you leave tonight, pause in front of the rainbow flags in the lobby, and you'll see they're handmade, hand-dyed, hand-stitched, and signed by Gilbert in the upper left corner of the flags. Those were eight colors. The commercially made flags were made in a cheaper way with 6 colors. So you'll know when you see one with 6 or 8 whether or not they imitate or reflect Gilbert's original design. And now the flags proliferate in this Pride Month, of all different kinds of flags. But in our month of Pride, we honor those people who have paved the way in culture, in arts, in politics, in music, in all different ways to create the movement of transformation. So we're remembering Gilbert tonight. We loved him, and he loved CBST. And that was one human being who came up with the idea of a rainbow flag, which now is internationally the symbol and the reflection of this movement that this synagogue is so proud to join. And one of the deep, deep expressions of the most significant part of the pride we feel as a community is that we at CBST now have children, and we now have children who are growing up to be young adults, and we have now children who are growing up to be teenagers, and difficult teenagers, some of them. We have children that are growing up to be adults. We have children who are growing up to rebel. We have children who are growing up to show us the way might be very different than we might have imagined. And we are thrilled. We are thrilled to have children among us. And we're thrilled that this week we mark another first in the life of CBSD. We're having 2 bar mitzvahs tomorrow. We've never had 2. We're becoming like some other synagogues, huh? Asher will become bar mitzvah in the morning at our Shachrit service, and Mel will become bat mitzvah in our mincha service in the afternoon. And I am bursting with pride. So I'd like to invite both families to join me and the 2 kids to light one of the 2 Shabbat candles, the blessings on page 38. Mel, you light one, and Asher, you light one. And the blessing on page 38.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'ad likneh
You may be seated. Mazel tov. And we ask everyone who is able to stand as we welcome angels of peace to be among us.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boacham leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And as you sit down, wish a good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom to people around you. Introduce yourself to someone new. Shabbat Shalom. We'd love to welcome anyone who's here for the first time or the first time in a very long time. So do we have anybody here tonight who's at CBST for the first time? Would you tell us your name and where you're from? Lainey from the Upper West Side. So nice to see you, Lainey. Very nice to have you here, Lainey. Wonderful. Yes. From Los Angeles, Jason, and what's your partner's name? Adele, and what's the baby's name? Juno? Hi, let's all say hello, Juno, all together. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hello, Juno. We're so happy to have you here, Juno. Juno is oblivious. Well, welcome. So happy you're here from LA. Oh, Juno's waving. So great. Well, we're happy to have you. Oh, Juno is a real waver. She's got the Queen's thing too. Beautiful.
It's a whole adoring public down
Yes,
here.
yes, she's got an adoring public. Who else is here for the first time? Anybody else we can welcome? Anybody else? All right, and all of you old timers, great to see you too. So we continue with Lechuna Ranana on page 52. Sing out, page 58. Page 62, Psalm 29. Please stand if you are able to.
Adonai
Please be seated. Lecha Dodi, page 66. And all of you know that I ask you to really sing this from your diaphragm. There are studies that show that singing actually has impact on our physical well-being. And part of it is really throwing our body into it. Singing is so profound because we use the very breath that gives us life to make these sounds. So the more deeply we connect to actually breathing, to singing, the more we're involving our body and our souls together. That's really profound. I'm jealous of people who can create great music, but everybody can sing. Everybody can join body and soul in creating these melodies, this music. Everybody can create this really holy thing of using our bodies and our souls. The word for breath in Hebrew is the same word for soul. Because, of course, the breath is what ensouls us, nourishes us, makes it possible for the body to walk around. There is no life without a breath. And there's no real life without the soul and the body being one. Breathing is a very act of that, and singing is making it exist in the universe outside of our own lives. So these words of Lecha Dodi, which you're sick of hearing me say this, but these words of Lecha Dodi are all about reigniting in each of us the place of hope when all is full of despair, about reminding us that destruction is never the end of the story and terrible things happen. And we have to find a way to reach in deep to the place where hope exists, not because we're naive or stupid or Pollyanna, but because we come from a long line of people from whom we can learn about resilience, because we have a tradition called Judaism, which tells us it's an obligation to exercise the muscles of hope, even when it's hard to do that. And because the one who has made each of us gave us breath and a body, and we can do the miraculous thing of creating music and singing. So these words, which are ancient words, could be spoken about the very moment in time we live today. That's what's remarkable, too. We're saying words from another time in history, but express our own sense of need of being encouraged, literally encouraged, being given courage, being told there's a possibility that we can be the very link that make the future possible. Wow. So sing it from your diaphragm, sit up, come on, gotta sit up. That's why singers stand when they sing, right? Because you gotta get that diaphragm, and make sure you're feeling the breath come from the diaphragm, and you don't know the words, just do la, la, la. Just make sound, okay? And try and go into the place where you feel the despair or the sense of sadness, and have that very sadness get massaged. Be given breath, be given some comfort. Imagining it, your breath itself is massaging those places that need a little attention. Page 66.
Divinity
Please be seated. Psalm 92 on page 72 is the psalm for Shabbat. This psalm, every week we look at it, we hold it, we remind ourselves that the exercise of gratitude is at the core of being a spiritually seeking person. It's at the core of being a human being who can survive the world in which we live. The ability to exercise that muscle of gratitude, to see it as our life's work to make that muscle stronger and stronger and stronger, because some days it's really hard to feel grateful. And the stronger the muscle is, the more you'll be able to access it on those days. It's here on our own, these words from this psalm. It is essential. It is at the core. It is important to give thanks, to not only focus on the curses, but to make room to find blessings. Sometimes they're big and obvious. Sometimes they're small and require work, but they are around us all the time. And we thank God for that. Psalm 92.
Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai. ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה. שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוז ינבון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו. להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולת בו.
Please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu on page 78.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. Read with me on page 84. I hear and behold God in every object. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God each hour of the 24, and each moment then. In the faces of men and women I see God, and in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that wheresoe'er I go, others will punctually come forever and ever.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה,
ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך שמו,
המעריב ורביב.
Amen. Page 86.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו ושכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה, נגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue with the final two paragraphs of the Shema, ending on page 92 or 93 individually.
Adonai Elohechem
Emet, page 94.
יפדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך וברוך שמו.
גאל ישראל.
Page 98. We hold in our prayers, we hold in our hearts all the suffering in the world. We don't turn away as hard as it is. We are witnesses to the pain that exists in the world, in our families, in this city, in this state, in this country, and in our world. We don't ignore it. We pray for peace. We pray to be agents of peace. We pray that those suffering in the world, in Israel or Palestine, in Ukraine, in the Sudan, we pray that there will be peace, that we will start in our own hearts and souls and families and homes. We will believe in the possibilities of transformation, even when there's no evidence, because we have faith. And God, give us strength to have that faith and to be agents of your peace, to spread your sukkah of peace throughout the world. Bring peace to us. Let us have a good night's sleep. Let this city be at peace, and let our world know real peace. Spread that sukkah over us, God. We need it. Please, God, over all of your people, over Jerusalem, and over the whole world.
Me'ata
page 102. Please stand in body or spirit. Page 104, the Chatzi Kadesh, followed by some silent prayer, individual silent prayer. Of course, as always, either the words in the Siddur on page 106, the alternative meditations, which are found on page 124, or some chance for your own personal prayers of your own making, reflections, contemplations, time and quiet, surrounded by community. Page 104.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה מעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי מחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך מעולם ולעולמי עלמיות יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה וימרו אמן.
on page 4 of your program. A Yiddish song, famous Yiddish song with music by Shalom Sekunda, the great Yiddish composer, originally from Ukraine. These words, very moving. Sing softly so no one but we can hear, and let the lovely melody gently rock us till the stars themselves fall asleep. Sing still, sing softly.
Hat mir mein Tate noch Kindwes gesagt, gut ist zu aufstehen beginnen. Und wer nur Herz und ein Euer vermogt, der wird schon einigen gefallen. Sing still, gar still, als keiner Schutz uns soll mit werden und soll uns verwegen der Herzig ernigen, wir sein Drümmeln werden die Sterne. Sing still, still, gar still, als keiner Schutz uns soll mit werden und soll uns verwegen der Herzig ernigen, wir sein Drümmeln werden die Sterne. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Mishaberach Avotenu Ve'imotenu, may the Holy One who has blessed our ancestors bless all who are suffering from illnesses today, whether they be illnesses of the mind or illnesses of the body or illnesses of the soul. We pray for their complete healing. We hold in our prayers tonight Harry Alberts, Dove Bear, Erica Foreman, Brian Michael, Ruth Oppenheim, Cheryl Schlossberg, Jim Rail, Rose Wannen, Baruch Yoshua ben Moshe David Verut, Mordechai ben Nachman Vebela Rivka, Shlomo Zalman ben Shena Risha. Please say out loud or write in the chat any other names for healing for whom we're praying for tonight. May those who will not be healed on this earth be blessed with nights free from suffering and days filled with peace. May God grant strength and comfort to those who care for the sick. May God help us all to find hope and courage as we face fear and loss. May all who are ill be surrounded by the love of friends, loving companions, families, and community. And let us say, Amen. And now to read Prayer for Our Country, I invite both Asher and Mel, and the prayer for the country is found on page 6, and Asher will read the first half, leading the whole congregation, and then Mel will read the second half.
Our God and God of our ancestors, bless this country and all who dwell within it. Help us to experience the blessings of our lives and circumstances, to be vigilant, compassionate, and brave. Strengthen us when we are afraid. Help us to channel our anger so that it motivates us to action. Help us to feel our fear so that we do not become numb. Help us to be generous with others so that we raise each other up. Help us to be humble in our fear, knowing that as vulnerable as we feel, there are those at greater risk, and that it is our holy work to stand with them. Help us to taste the sweetness of liberty, to not take granted the freedoms won in generations past or in recent days, to heal and nourish our democracy, that it may seem like a tree planted by the water whose roots reach down to the stream. It need not fear drought when it comes. Its leaves are always green.
Source of all life, guide our leaders with righteousness. Strengthen their hearts, but keep them from hardening, that they may use their influence and authority to speak truth and act for justice. May all who dwell in this country share its bounty, enjoy its freedom, and be protected by its laws. May this nation use its power and wealth to be a voice for justice, peace, and equality for all who dwell on earth. May we be strong and have courage, to be bold with our actions and deep in our compassion, to discern when we must listen and where we must face, to uproot bigotry, intolerance, misogyny, racism, discrimination, and violence in all forms, to celebrate the many faces of God reflected in the wondrous diversity of humanity, to welcome the stranger and immigrant youth, and to honor the gift of those who seek refuge and possibility here, and they have since before this nation was born. Let justice well up like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
And let us say amen. Beautiful, so beautiful. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Asher. Thank you, Mel, and thank you, Asher. So moving to hear you read that prayer for all of us. Wasn't that fantastic? And we look forward to tomorrow's celebration with you. And we continue. What are we on? What are we up to, Joyce?
Kaddish Shalem.
Kaddish Shalem, page 138.
Yekadal v'yekadash shemei Rabba V'yalma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yamechon uv'chayedecha Beit Yisrael Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimeru Amen Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach V'yolam ulal me'al ma'ayai Yitbarach v'yishtamach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal shemei dekudesha Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imeru Titkabel slotahon uvotahon dechol Yisrael kadam avuhon divishmaya v'imeru Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'imeru Oseh shalom v'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'yalko yoshvei tevel v'imeru Amen.
Yeshkoach, beautiful. So beautiful. You're davening tonight. Rabbi Marisa James and Joyce Rosenzweig, thank you so much. So in the month of June, I only give one drush because we have so many wonderful guest speakers. So this is my one drush in the month of June. And I've been thinking a lot about this drush. First, let me start with the Parsha. This Parsha is Parshat Naso, which was the Parsha for my daughter's bat mitzvah 27 years ago, I think. Is that possible? I think it's 27 years ago. So, guys, I'm talking to the parents here. You forever will feel connected to what's happening here this weekend. And this Parsha has the Birkat Kohanim in it, and some of you were at Liba's bat mitzvah. Joyce was there. It's one of the longest parshiot, as Asher has found out. And it's when you do the full kriya, which for the minyan tomorrow morning, we do triennial. The full kriya is very, very, very long for Naso. So we had Jack Greenberg laying the very big middle section of the Parsha. So, but in this Parsha, I'm staying away from the things that Asher will teach tomorrow morning, and Mel is going to teach from next week's Parsha, from the Mincha service. And I'm going to talk very briefly tonight about the Birkat Kohanim, which is found in this Parsha. Birkat Kohanim, also known as the priestly blessing, also known as Fiddler on the Roof, how's it go? The Sabbath prayer. It's called in Fiddler on the Roof. If I were the person who could do that, I'd hum a few bars, but I can't remember how it goes exactly, but you all know Sabbath prayer. Joyce, how does it go? Lord, protect and defend you. May. Keep going, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, well that from Fiddler on the Roof is from this week's Parsha. Beautifully done. What a chorus here. Thank you so much. Bunch of theater queens, of course, we have here. So this blessing, and I'll be brief about this piece of it, is found, we have it on the front of your program, in fact, for Parshat Noso. And you'll see the way it's found in the Torah is the three blessings are on top of each other. There are the three parts. There's a tri-part blessing. It's one blessing. The first part has three words. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. 3 words. The second line has how many words? Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. How many? 5. And the third line has how many words? Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. 7. So there's volumes written about this increase in words, and likewise, obviously, increase in syllables and increase in letters. And the commentaries spend a long time studying this, what they agree to be a crescendo of blessing. It starts with 3, 5, and 7. And the analysis of this blessing is very extensive. I'm just going to say a couple of words about it. It's also, by the way, found on our Siddur. And actually, that's a better place to look at it because you'll see what it looks like in the Torah, page 175 in the Siddur. By the way, one of the tips in the Siddur, a lot of the times we tried to put Torah quotes in calligraphy so you would feel the Torah text to it. So if you see on page 175, you see the quote from this Parsha, Birkat Kohanim, has the nikud, the vowels, but the quote itself from the Bible, from the Chumash, is as it looks in the Torah scroll, without the vowels. And you can see the first line has those 3 words, the second line 5 words, and the final, the 7 words. This is a blessing that we're told in the Chumash. Moses tells Aaron to give this blessing on behalf of God to all the people. But one of the first things that the commentaries notice about it is that this is a blessing being given to the people, but it's in the grammatical form of singular. It's not in a plural form. It's all yivarechacha, you, yishmerecha, you. It's not the plural you, it's the singular you. And one of the teachings about that, about why this blessing to an entire community is actually quite individual, is to keep reminding us that each of us is a specific blessing, and each of us needs specific blessings. So that while God is blessing us, we each might need very different blessings. Even though we all need to be blessed, we all need these words to mean something different to us. One of us needs a certain kind of strengthening than another person. And the commentators beautifully describe how this blessing is like the manna that was given in the desert, which is the food that dropped from the heavens. The rabbis tell us that when you picked that manna up and ate it, it tasted exactly like whatever you wanted it to taste like. It was kind of God giving you physical nourishment that was exactly what you wanted it to be, even though it was the same blessing of physical nourishment. And likewise, the singular form of this blessing is that it's directed to each of us, and it's going to be very different for each of us. But the question becomes, how do we receive it? This blessing, when it is done traditionally in the synagogue, it's preceded by a bracha itself when the Kohanim give the blessing traditionally. And I just want to read the blessing it's the only blessing like this that's said before the blessing, the three-part Birkat Kohanim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'kedushato shel Aharon, already a different form, v'tzivanu levarech et amo Yisrael be'ahava. It says that we're instructed to do this blessing, that we've been instructed to bless the people Israel with love. This is the only blessing in the Jewish tradition that I know of, and maybe I can be corrected, where we're told to do it with love. Love exists in all different ways in our tradition, but this one is told that we're supposed to do it with love. And many write about this, but I really feel that it comes from this place of, how do you receive blessing? This is the big question I have for Pride, and I'm going to get to a few words about this. How do we receive blessing? It's easy to say, I'm going to give you a blessing, or you're going to be blessed. It's much harder for us to be open to receiving it. And the blessing, I think, by including love, shows how important it is to feel love of whatever kind, to be able to be open to seeing blessings and not the curses. And that's another very difficult muscle to exercise. So when I thought about what are the blessings in my life, and from whom and from where have I received God's teaching around this moment of Pride, I have to talk about my friend, my colleague, my teacher, Urvashi Vad, who recently died. Let's talk about a blessing to the world, to the community as a whole, and let's talk about the kind of individual blessing this human being offered us. Now, Urvashi was a Hindu Jew. She called herself a Hindu all the time. And you can look on the screen. Can we put it on these screens too, Jason? There's a picture of Urvashi and Kate at the CBST dedication on April 3rd, 2016. 19, oh my God. 2016, there's Urvashi with her gal pal, as Kate called her, and her wife and life partner, Kate Clinton, the famous comedian and humorist. And I'm going to leave that up there so we have her laughing, smiling face as I speak about Urvashi a little bit, and the particular blessings that I and we as a world have received from her. Both, like the blessing of the Birkat Kohanim, extremely individual, but also global, communal. Urvashi understood the power of progressive religion like nobody else I had never met. She liked to say that she was a secular Hindu, but she understood like nobody else in the gay community in the 1990s when she was executive director of the NGLTF, the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, that if we as a gay movement did not deal with right-wing religion, we would never succeed. And we had to create and strengthen progressive religion if we were going to, as a community, succeed. So when she was the NGLTF executive director, she started a pre-conference conference for those of us, and it was a very small number at the time, who were progressive gay LGBT religious leaders. There was a handful there at the first gathering that she called. She understood things that very few other people really understand. And this is the best I have to offer by passing on some of the things that I have learned from Urvashi, a close and dear friend of mine for over 30 years. Urvashi was analytical and instinctive. She had a brilliant mind that could wipe the floor with anybody she was with. But she loved fun. She was an extremely intense person, but she was an intense person in both argument and in having a great time, in feeling joy in the world. She was strategic and she was impulsive. She was super intense and serious and loved fun. That itself is a blessing we all need to learn. As intense as we get, And as heavy as the world is around us, one blessing from Urvashi is to remember having fun. She could pivot at any moment and go from the most intense debate and argument about a horrible right-wing Republican, and then she could laugh and laugh and laugh. How can we embody that ability to laugh? She loved to dance, and she loved music. She was the embodiment of the Emma Goldman quote, "If I can't dance, I don't want your revolution." She wanted to enjoy life, and if the revolution didn't include that, she was going to transform the revolution. There was no way we were going to be sour and dour while we changed the world. She was passionately committed to ideas, but she was also passionately committed to love. Love of Kate, but love of her friends, and love of community. She believed in love. She believed in the love of creating community, and she did that wherever she went. If she saw a need, she would just organize a group of people to do it. And I don't just mean political demonstrations, which she did a lot of. When she was diagnosed 8 years ago with breast cancer, she and a few other women, some of whom are sitting in the room tonight, created a group called the Breasties. How to use humor to deal with a terribly terrifying situation. She had a L-E-Z, hangout, Zoom, every month through COVID. How to get people together. She had New Year's Eve bonfire, that's very hard to say, New Year's Eve bonfires on Herring Cove Beach every year. Anybody who was in Provincetown on New Year's Eve would go to Herring Cove Beach. There would be a massive bonfire, and the secular Hindu would create this ritual where everybody had to write on a piece of paper everything they wanted to get rid of from that year and throw it in the paper. And she would laugh and laugh as people would read out loud whatever it was. She felt fiercely, like Heschel said prophets are distinguished by in this world. She was involved in more organizations related to the LGBT movement than anybody else I know. NGLTF, the Ford Foundation, the Gill Foundation, the Arcus Foundation, the ACLU Prison Rights Project. She formed LPAC to create a lesbian political action committee. And she did everything with passion and intensity and humor. But the things I want to end with in terms of what we need to learn from in this moment of our Pride Month, and in this moment of the world which seems to be regressing every day, is that she believed in both street activism and bold, direct action, as she was very active in ACT UP and in other things, but she also believed in electoral politics. She was a huge Hillary Clinton supporter, and she believed that one must get involved in electoral politics and not sit out an election. As much as she understood that wasn't going to solve every problem, she was immensely critical of those in the movement who said, this one's not pure enough, that one's not good enough. She was, although she was philosophically believed in total revolution, she understood you needed to be equally involved in street activism and in electoral politics. She wasn't a zealot, the playwright Tony Kushner said in a phone interview that was quoted in her obituary in the New York Times. She understood the perfect could not be the enemy of the good, and that progress is made in steps. That is a blessing we need to express. Finally, the blessing that I carry with me in this Pride Month is that she did not believe in single issue focus for the movement, and she didn't believe in LGBT rights. Absolutely. She believed in LGBT liberation that was tied to transforming the world. Her famous speech on the March on Washington on April 25th, 1993, ended with these words: "Perhaps the right is right about something. We call for the end of the world as we know it. We called for the end of racism and sexism and bigotry as we know it, for the end of violence and discrimination and homophobia as we know it, for the end of sexism as we know it. We stand for freedom as we have yet to know it, and we will not be denied. I would love to see, she said recently, for the LGBT community to use whatever political power and access we now have to create a more just society for all. She drew a distinction between LGBT rights and LGBT liberation. Liberation meant altering the mainstream itself to accommodate a range of who we are. Rachel Maddow said about her, she had a singular impact as an individual. She changed the AIDS movement, gay rights, and civil rights movement in ways absolutely attributable to her. If we wonder what a blessing looks like in our world, if we wonder what God meant when God offered us this three-part blessing that is from the earliest evidence we have of that blessing is from 900 before the Common Era, making it 3,000 years old. If we wonder what it is to experience God's light in our world, to be protected by God's love, to be surrounded by peace and encouraged and strengthened, I think all we have to do is look around and find someone from whom we have learned deep truths that gives us a vision that we couldn't have had without them. Maybe they're not even alive anymore. Maybe they're in your life. But that, I believe, is the deepest blessing that God gives us with this Birkat Kohanim. And I think we have to look into our world. Where are the people? And for me, in this pride, that person is Urvashi Vad. May her memory forever bless us. And may we, Hindu, Jew, Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, whatever we are, bless her and all of those elders of our community. And she was 63 years old when she died. She will no longer be doing the work in the world. We are the ones with that blessing. Shabbat Shalom. Page 140, please stand if you are able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liyotzeh breshit, shebara otanu b'tzalmo, v'nafach banu et nishmat chayenu, שהעמיק אותנו בלימוד תורתו, וקידשנו במצוותיה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו לגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אפס מלכנו, אפס זולתו, הכתוב בתורתו,
Please be seated. We pause now to remember those we've loved who are no longer with us. We extend our deepest condolences to Stephen, Frank, Mark Lerner, Derek, and Asher on the death of their uncle Martin, who died June 6th, making this weekend particularly poignant and full of both sadness and joy. Our deepest condolences to you and to your whole family. We mark the yahrzeits tonight of CBST members Lawrence Schwadron, Gloria Weiner, Connie Kurtz, Aaron Karp, Robert Nackerman, Stanley March, Joseph Dorman, Max Kleinbaum, Alma Kessler, Mark Lutvak, Robert Levine, family and friends, Rose Cohen, Sidney Semmel, Julian Rosenblum, William Moses, Merrill Goldstein, Nathan Kaplowitz, Louis Schwartz, Rose Klein, Bonnie Karen Cohen, Norman Friedman, and Pearl Goldstein. If you are in mourning or observing a yahrzeit, or if it's your custom to stand for the mourner's Kaddish, please do so, page 150. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. B'almad devra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimru. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach li'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Kudsha brichu. Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata Da'amiram bi'alma v'yimru. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru. And may the one who makes peace in the heavens bring comfort to all who mourn here on earth. And let us say Amen. And now for some announcements. Our President, Sabrina Farber.
Thank you, Rabbi. Happy Pride. That's the first time I've said this because I wasn't here last week. So Shabbat Shalom and welcome to CBST. I think I speak for many of us in saying how enormously grateful I am to welcome Shabbat here with each of you in the sanctuary tonight, and also those of you online. Special shout out to our board vice president, Harold Levine, who is homesick. We hope you're feeling better. Thank you to our Baal Tefillah, Rabbi Marisa James, for sharing your beautiful voice and neshama with us. I love the way Rabbi James parachutes in periodically during the year. I never know when it's going to happen, and when it does, it's just a particularly lovely delight. So thank you, Rabbi. Thank you to Joyce Rosenzweig for bringing us such gorgeous music always. And thank you to Rabbi Kleinbaum for your service leadership and your visionary leadership of CBST every single day. Thank you specifically tonight for your Pride Drasha, which has become a cornerstone CBST occurrence every year. A special welcome to the Frank Lerner family and also to the Rosenblum May family, both of whom are joining us for this historic first 2 bar mitzvahs in one day tomorrow. So speaking of bar mitzvahs, we're celebrating, as I said, our historic first tomorrow with 2. So if you're busy in the morning, you can come in the afternoon. If you're busy in the afternoon, you can come in the morning. In the morning at 10 a.m., join us for our liberal minyan, where we will be celebrating the bar mitzvah of Asher Frank Lerner, son of members Stephen Frank and Mark Lerner, and brother of Derek Frank Lerner. Then come back, or come to begin with, for mincha at 4:30 as we celebrate the bar mitzvah of Mel Rosenblum May, whose parents are Darren Rosenblum and Howard May. An embarrassment of riches, if I don't say so myself. And then you can join us on Zoom tomorrow night for Havdalah, which will start at 8:30, and it'll be led by Judy Ribnick. There's a lot going on, and I'm going to try to do this quickly, but it is a 2-pager, so I'm just giving you a warning. This Sunday, we are so excited to have our annual fundraising concert at 4 p.m. You can join us on live stream, or you can come in person. It's called Let My People Eat, and I know you've heard about this before. We're particularly excited because it is Sam, it is Joyce, it is the CBST chorus, it is Sally Wilford. It's going to be so much fun. And we promise that there will actually be something for you to eat for those of you who come in person. So come and find out what it is. Oh, and by the way, did I mention it's a fundraising concert? You know what I mean by that. I know, but I'm just going to have to say that because I'm president and I look at the numbers, people. I look at the numbers. So then, join us on Tuesdays, talking of special events. This is a free event. It's a screening of the film Flea at the Upper West Side JCC. This screening is made possible by CBSD board member Stephen Raphael, who is co-chairing the event with board member Noemi Maslia. As I said, tickets are free, but as I also said 2 weeks ago, when somebody gives you a ticket for free, what do? You give them something in return. So in your return, we would love it if you would donate to CBST for the Open Door. So this event will be the kickoff for our Open Door fundraising this year. Next week's Family and Friends Shabbat service features Rabbi Yael Rapport, as I know you know. Don't miss the service. We're encouraging folks to donate to CBST in her honor after her 6 magical years as Assistant Associate Rabbi. Spaces are still available. It's going to be a magnificent service. And I'm really glad I don't see any tomatoes in the audience, but I wanted to let you know we have been overwhelmed by the registration numbers for Pride Shabbat on the 24th. It is so thrilling to see how many people want to come back and join us in person in the sanctuary. There are still a few spaces left. I know, if you've been online today, it was problematic. However, I'm told there are still a few spaces left. I am working on details of ways to accommodate more people. I can't say anything more because I see a lot of other board members here and the rabbi's sitting in the front row, so I can't make any promises, but I promise we'll be back in touch with more information very soon. Don't despair. Celebrate with us. Be online if you can't be in person. Shabbat Shalom.
Bema flowers, these beautiful flowers are from Stephen Frank and Mark Lerner in honor of the bar mitzvah for Asher Frank Lerner. And tonight's live stream sponsored by CBST board and clergy wishing a mazel tov to the Frank Lerner family on the bar mitzvah of Asher this Shabbat. The CBST board, clergy, and staff wishing a mazel tov to the Rosenblum May family on the bar mitzvah of Mel this Shabbat. We're thrilled about both. By Mickey Dickinson and Randy Sarakoff in honor of Rabbi Yael Werber. Mazel tov on your smicha, with gratitude for your support during Randy's recovery. Welcome to the CBST family. By Stephen Frank and Mark Lerner in honor of the bar mitzvah of Asher Frank Lerner. By Ruthie Berman in memory and in honor of my beloved wife Connie, who left us on May 27th, 2018, 4 years ago. Hebrew Yortzeit falls on June 12th, 2022. I miss you, babe. By Jay Fisher, 76 trombones. Wonder what that means. To my beloved husband, Michael Lerman, on his 76th birthday. Oh, I figured it out. 6/11/22, with so much love and devotion. Vijay Kumar, in loving memory of my partner, Dr. Alvin Wolf, on his 11th Yortzeit. It was observed on Monday, June 6th, 7th of Sivan, Yizkor, on Shavuot, deeply loved and sorely missed. By Rick Landman, who is entering his 70s next week. Happy birthday, Rick. By Roz Richter, in honor of the bat mitzvah of Mel, and congrats to dads Darren and Howard. By Linda Solomon and Bonnie Siegel, in honor of Cantor Rosen, Joyce Rosenzweig, the CBST chorus, and the beautiful concert that we anticipate for Sunday. By Rabbi Dave Yedid and Daniel Eisenberg, in honor of our wedding this weekend. They're getting married on Sunday. So for those who want to sponsor a Kiddush next week, that's good to do for them too. Shabbos Zol Zayin, page 36, as we begin to end the service.
Shabbos, 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 Zol Zayin.
rise in body or spirit for Kiddush on page 156.
ויכולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חברימותיי.
לחיים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
אמן.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת, עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Somehow.
Oh yeah. We good? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.